and crows also they were eating.
And that's why they were dancing cats.
Yes. So here, I with this background, I show I have visited this area also. So I will show the pictures of the victims, just to point out. Then I will show the situation, some kind of drinking water problems in Pakistan, in Lahore case. Also, I will show the video, some clips, and then we can start discussion.
Yes, go on, Dr. Sir.
So these are the pictures of victims. Sorry. Okay.
It all was initiated by Japan, from Japan?
Yes.
You want to say that?
Yes.
Okay.
So here brief, the Minamata disease was identified 50 years ago in that time when this documentary was documented, 50 years, but it has 100 years more. So methyl mercury in the industrial wastewater from Chiso Corporation and chemical factory which continued from 1932 and 1968, and it was the poisoning from fish contamination and mercury discharge to surrounding sea. But even today, unfortunately, thousands of victims are still fighting for their survival and victory. So these kind of diseases were found among the people in Minamata.
Oh, that's very dreadful picture.
Next.
What disease this is called, sir?
So they named this disease as a Minamata disease.
Minamata.
What happened? Actually, the mercury, we all know that mercury is very dangerous. In a sense, it expands at body temperature. So when it enters in the food, through blood, it goes to the brain and continue to expand, and this disorder started.
Okay.
So that was the reason. So these victims, they voluntarily offer to document their situation in videos to show to the world what they are facing the problem. So finally there was a Minamata convention, and now the same city has been rehabilitated also. So they have almost have covered many things. So the next is the case of Lahore.
Yes.
In case of Lahore, so in 2000, this was the main news in Lahore newspapers. It was in Khabrein that there were cases of fluorosis and arsenic in drinking water, and we did research on this area also, and the main source was arsenic and fluorides, and bone deformity was found among people. So it is situated in Multan Road near Honda factory. So the problem was that the industrial, because of strict rules of EPD, the industries started dumping their waste in the groundwater, in the deep well, through digging in the ground. So it contaminated groundwater, and surrounded villages were. So almost 220 children were affected, and
it looks not an old story in the context of Lahore.
Yes, in Lahore case. So then we conducted a survey of all Punjab, different tubels of Wasa in all Punjab. I conducted the survey of drinking water. I brought to my lab in Japan, and we found that Punjab, and especially the south of the Punjab and Sindh area, we are having a problem, very serious problem of arsenic. So arsenic is also one of the problem which we are facing.
And arsenic comes from
Himalaya, from the river. It is geological factor basically.
Yes.
And it comes from upper side when water flows. So there are rocks of arsenic that it is dissolved in that water, and it comes there. And our industries also add some pollution to some areas. So that was the problem. So the purpose of sharing these problems is that we should know that many countries which were industrialized, they have paid huge cost of human life, and now we are also facing the same kind of problem. So why I choose the case of mercury and what is relation with our own situation. So this is I'm a professor in Women University, Lahore College for Women University, and all of my students are female students. I have produced town planners and disaster managers. That is my field basically. So usually students and females, they use many cosmetics in our country. So that cosmetic contains mercury also. So excessive use of mercury containing cosmetics is the reason we have seen that was in the food chain. In our case, contaminated water is our food chain mein shamil hai. So in that case, so we have to be careful, especially our youth, that please do not use any kind of cosmetics which contains mercury, because once it enters in your body, so it moves and expands at body temperature, and it can affect create many health problems in the future. So these two things I want to discuss, and inshallah we will have some question answers and discussion.
Yes, in the last we do have some question answer session for the 5 last minutes. Thank you so much, Dr. Vicky sir. Your discussions have really laid the foundation for the discussion here. And we are now much aware with the Minamata Convention and the other things, and how the mercury or arsenic can affect our health and other things. Especially the interesting thing that the more use of cosmetics sometime may or can get dense. So we have concluded this. Thank you, and now it's time to delve deeper into the social implication of the environmental degradation, because it is not something that's affecting each and every body equally. When the Anthropocene was titled and termed by the coiner, then it was the critique by all of the social sciences and all of the scholars who are humanities, from the humanities and the social sciences. They just attacked him with saying that human is the primary driver. Who is the human? We human, first of all, we need to determine who is the human in the main center and the main stream of humanity. I mean, the people who have been colonized for a long time, and you just call them the main driver of all of the decisions that have been made on this planet's future. So we are not responsible for each and every aspect that was done on our behalf. And so many other things. The ecofeminism is something that's very much related, and the Chipko movement and many things we found in 1973 in India. Hamala, Dr. Serena will tell us the details in that. So I just invite Dr. Serena Haki to talk on this very critical and very crucial issue of climate justice in the feminist climate case. I will simply start with this very simple question to Dr. Serena, that what is the feminist climate justice standpoint? This is a very simple question from where, just to begin with, please.
Assalamu alaikum, good morning. So I'll begin my talk with a little anecdote which I feel sums up the dynamics of the world today. I was in Boston and I met an American writer, Andre Dupas III, and he said, when he was sitting on the stage, and I quote, he said, "I am the most privileged person on this planet. I'm a man, I'm white, and I'm American. And all doors open for me. Not even woman, white American, man, white American." He wasn't, of course, boasting about it. This is a reality he had experienced. Now, what do you do when you have a north which is so privileged and you have a south where the sweat is even dry? The land is so dry and dehydrated that even the sweat is dry. And if it's not dehydrated, it's inundated. So how do you make this connection between the North and the South? So what I could do, I gave him my book, he gave me his book. I'd written about the Cholistan desert. My husband belongs to Bhavalpur, so I had visited there many times. I'd spoken about the 2010 floods which chased us when we were coming from Sindh. So I could only give him the word that came to me. Uzma Aslam Khan can be read, Ramchand Pakistani can be seen, Imran Rifat can be read, Tawfiq Rafat can be read. So all I say is read us to know us. And for that, we have to first figure out that who is affected by this. Are we affected equally? There's no such thing as equality. As I began my talk, I said, some are more privileged than others. There's no such thing as equality. So I'd like to see if we are equally affected. For that, we have to first find out the connections North has with South. And when I say North, the Northern Hemisphere has all the industrial countries. So let's see if equality really works here. When I come to this, you must have seen this image running on Facebook and everywhere, but what I'm interested in is the equilibrium that comes with it. So for feminism also, I always speak about equilibrium. So the connection that I draw between North and South, the connection that I draw between human and animal is of dialogue. My area of concern and research has always been dialogue and dialogism, and we can add it to any place. If I'm sitting here, I cannot tell you what is happening at the back unless I ask you. If you're sitting there, you cannot tell me what is happening at the back unless you ask me. So I have to bring into my frame of reference what the other's perspective is. Even the ant's perspective is important. So for that, I need to maintain a dialogue with you, and the dialogue has to be with the North and the South. In this case, they have to know that merely putting the boxes is not enough. It is the last image where you remove the barrier. You need to remove the barrier for the dialogue to begin, to connection to begin. There is no need for that barrier, right? So with that, I also say from feminism, we are stuck on feminism. I love the fact that we're talking about women, and we will continue to talk about women, but we have to now bring into our perspective more things: planetary humanism, speciesism, humanism, equal rights for all, right? Okay. So for that, if I look at this, yes.